Hello, my name is Jacob Todson, and welcome back to The Wisdom of Odin. Today, I'm in a place most people probably don't even know it actually exists. I am in Estonia today to discuss its ancient history because this is something that I think will benefit a lot of people in the States from knowing, but it's also just a really unique and interesting look into the ancient world that many people really don't know about. My knowledge when I first came to Estonia and to Tallinn, the main city that I'm at right now, I really only knew a few things. And these few bits of information are really what attracted me to this research and into making this video. And since I haven't been in Estonia very long, one of the things I wanted to do was secure an interview with someone who grew up here and someone who can give me an insight into the culture and history and how it's taught in schools, but also maybe an understanding of how these pagan and spiritual beliefs maybe are talked about today. And so I was able to get an interview with Annette, who is an artist here in Estonia, and now she can come into frame. This is her to prove she is real.
Hello, I'm real.
And we're going to be doing an interview in her much more soundproof office where we're going to ask her a few questions. So with that, let's go ahead and begin this video talking about ancient Estonia and as those know. So also in this video, I'm going to be having an interview with Elin, who's been on this show several times now, but obviously this is very much after the fact because we're wearing our scarves. So I was doing the editing for this video and I just wanted to make sure I got as much information as possible to make this one of the best videos on Estonian paganism and history and mythology on the internet, and I couldn't do that without Elin. So would you like to tell people who you are in case they don't know at this point?
Yeah, hello. I am a Bachelor in Archaeology and Cultural Heritage Studies from Sweden. And I am a reoccurring guest over here. And I also have a very big obsession with Estonian history, and I have written all of my theses about Estonian history and culture in different aspects and ways.
What are you taught in history? Like, do you start at a certain point? Like in the United States, we start at, like 1776, like maybe Christopher Columbus, but nothing before that. Like America never even existed before Christopher Columbus, got there. So I was kind of wondering what it was like in Estonia.
No, we go way, way back. We have all the ancient history too, but we don't really focus on it. We kind of go through it real quick, and then we start talking about all the horrible things that happened here.
But I mean, you went to school in Tallinn as well?
Yep.
Yeah, and so that, I mean, to me, that says a lot. Like, you went to school in the system here, and that's not something that they teach you. Like, you have mythology here in Estonia that you're not taught.
Yep, no, it's true. I don't really know anything about Estonia. I had to look into it myself.
Yeah, well, it was like the shaman thing I went to, I told you about, and it's only 20 kilometers from here.
Yep.
And you had no idea it happened.
Nope.
The event I just referenced takes place every year in July. It is an Estonian-run event that promotes various workshops to learn more about shamanic techniques and healing work. This event is largely attended by Estonian and Siberian shamans, as well as some other shamans from the Americas. What we will discuss throughout this video is the deep connection ancient Estonian belief has within animism and the spirit within everything.
So, disclaimer, with everything that has to do with ancient society that is centered around social interaction, because that is what religion is. It's a social interaction between people and, all of that good stuff. So we can have theories, but there's not a manual. But the cup-marked stones, for example, they are said to be from around the year 100 AD. Even though it's very hard to date stone, that is the science we have of today about it. And these stones, they're usually connected to ancient fields. So one might think that maybe they have to do with why they have been placed there. Could be that they are sacrificial stones for good harvesting, maybe sacrifices to nature gods or nature spirits of some kind to help the people. Because Estonians are said to be nature worshippers, and they seem to have had a more animistic belief in ancient Estonia than particular, god worship, that they have a specific god for different things. But they do have, so to say, main god as well, that we have been able to find throughout history and tales and so on. And some cup marks are also named after this god, and that is he's either called Ukko or he's called Tara. And
So
that is
Ukko
like
being,
the main god, the storm.
so obviously Ukko
Huh?
is, from the Kalevala and up into the Finnish region. So that sounds like the Tara is more akin to maybe the Estonian side of things.
Yes, it is kind of explained as the same kind of deity. So some call him Ukko, some call him Tara, and this is a Finno-Ugric thing I've noticed, because the people of Estonia are Finno-Ugric, and we also have the His left, and those are the holy groves. It's called groves in English. Groves. It's not grooves.
Gross, yeah.
The holy grooves. The ancient groves. No, but yeah, they have the holy groves, which is again His in Estonian, and they are said to be from at least the Bronze Age. Some of these places, and these are natural places with like natural altars, so to say, where sacrifices could be carried out to pagan deities or spirits or whatever they believed. And His are also very connected to 1800s and 1900s folklore of Estonian research. And there is mentions as well of human sacrifice and animal sacrifice in these places, which is also the case, obviously, in Scandinavia. We also have had human sacrifices. So history isn't all cuddly and naturey and hippie like that. It is also said, and this is also found through folklore, that the Estonians are very, very protective of these places. If you disrespect a sacred grove or a tree, stone, river, anything that they have applied this holy landmark upon, or like this holy aspects to it, then the person disrespecting these places, they would get punished. Even their whole bloodline could get punished through magical means or maybe other.
And then, as far as like, is there any like folklore or mythology that's kind of taught here, or is that something that's kind of just like in the family?
Oh, we have Kalevipoeg, which is our epic thing, kind of like Kalevala.
Oh, what is that?
Kalevipoeg. It's
So-
literally son of Kalev.
So it's very similar.
I think there's actually a whole thing that it is kind of the same story, if I'm right, but I'm...
So it's like, do you remember any of the characters in the story? Is it like Vainamoinen?
Yeah, there's Kalevipoeg, then there's Linda, which is the woman in the whole story. That was a goddess apparently too, but I'm not sure. We weren't very taught a lot about that. But I just know that that's like the main thing here,
Interesting.
Kalevipoeg. But I don't know how many people have read it. I actually haven't.
I think that's how it is in a lot of European countries. Is like most people don't actively seek out spiritual belief. It's kind of something that like, if your family was into it, you can kind of get into it.
Yeah, we kind of regard it more as like a fairy tale almost, like our past, like the whole animism thing. And the Kalevipoeg, we don't think of it like, as these deities or as this whole, folk tales or kind of like fairy tales for us. Don't really take it that seriously.
Yeah, because I got the folklore book, and a lot of it is just like forest spirits. Like you're
Yeah.
walking around the forest, and the forest spirit shows up and tells you something to do. And if you do what the forest spirit says, you get something good in the end.
Yep, basically that.
Yeah, and it seems like that's like all the poems.
Yeah, basically. Well, but that's the thing. I think people don't really think that that's actually what people did and believed in. It seems so distant for some reason, actually, yeah, that I think about it.
So going to looking at that Finno-Ugric connection, is there any unique mythology to Estonia, or is it mostly based on the Finns? Because I really had a lot of trouble finding, is there a difference between the Kalevala and the mythology of the Finns, or the mythology of the Estonians?
I will tell you the connection. I have it all down. They have their own mythology. So they have their own collection of stories and their own national hero. And these stories, yes, these are also poems and songs. And they were collected around Estonia by a man called Friedrich Reinhold Kreutzwald. And this is the national epic that is named Kalevipoeg. And Kalevipoeg means the son of Kalev, which also sounds like Kalevala, right? But it involves its own characters and its own lore, its own stories. And Estonia also withholds one of the larger collections of local folklore in the world, in a library in Tartu. So they have a lot of stories that have been collected. And what is so funny that you brought up the Kalevala is because Elias Lönnroth, who collected the Kalevala and published the Kalevala, he has actually met up with Kreutzwald that wrote Kalevipoeg. So they met up in the middle 1800s, and they released each of their national epics not too far off each other. So with a couple of years in between. So they are BFFs in real life as well.
So there still is a lot of crossover between the two works, isn't there? Because I mean, I had a lot of trouble, at least as an American researcher looking in from afar. I like finding a difference between both of these epic poems was almost impossible. Like they would almost come up synonymous with one another every single time.
Huh. Yeah. No, I mean, there are, of course, there are references back and forth. But in the Kalevipoeg, if there is ever a wizard mentioned in the story, they are always in Finland, or in the north of Sweden. They are like, those are the magic people.
Is there an English translation of Kalevipoeg?
I can say Kalevipoeg. I can say that I had... we will speak about the Soviet Union later on, but here's the thing. There came a lot, many thousands, tens of thousands of Estonians to Sweden. And in an attempt to maintain their culture, they have written it and translated into Swedish. So my copy is in Swedish from the 1940s. And finding it is easy in Swedish, in Estonian, or in German. So that's your three options.
Yeah, I didn't see a single option in English, at least looking from afar.
No, I have yet to see an English copy. If anyone knows about it, maybe someone of the viewers have found it, but I have so far to see an English copy of it.
Then you could be it. You could be the writer of the English copy.
Yeah.
Taking a brief pause here, this video has been a long process in the making. I've been recording here in Tallinn, getting lots of shots for you, recording scenes like this, getting the interview with Annette, and doing as much research as I can. And so if you like the content here at The Wisdom of Odin, please make sure you like and subscribe and all that good YouTuber stuff. Truly supporting this channel in those ways helps so much, but also supporting this channel on Patreon and purchasing the books that I write. I have one out right now called A Yule Story. And so this is a one-man band as far as securing these interviews, coming to places like this, staying in my strange little Russian grandmother houses that I have to stay in. So if you want to support me in this journey, please think about going down below and supporting me there, or just simply leaving a comment and sharing and all that good stuff. With that, let us get back to this video discussing ancient history in Estonia. So as far as this terminology of mausk. Mausk. So I have to pause, mausk.
Well, it's ma and usk. Ma is land, usk is belief.
Ah, okay, so mausk, it just literally means belief in the land.
Yep.
I actually really like that. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And so if I haven't covered it at this point in the video with my voiceover, Jacob, mausk is the native belief as it's been reconstructed today, at least a terminology for it. But I have been asking people around town if they know what it means, and most people don't.
Maybe because we have Tara usk as well, which is kind of the same.
Yeah.
After the goddess Tara. See, I'm embarrassed. I don't even know that much. It's horrible.
That's kind of the point of the interview, though. I didn't come here I wasn't you're an expert in Estonia.
No, there's a huge disclaimer here, please.
Yeah. Not an expert in Estonia, but lives here, and that's kind of what I want this interview to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think when we're talking about an everyday person's religion, do the everyday people know about it?
I don't think so.
But yeah, I mean, I think there is this kind of innate spirituality to land a lot of the times that people can feel. And I think that's, when you remove the dogmatic religions, that from the past, or even, ideologies that, such as communism in the Soviet era, once you remove those, what you're left with is the land.
Yeah.
And is the history of your cities and things like that. And that does give you something.
Yeah. No, it was only recently that I figured out that, or read about it, that we had animism here.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we also have like a pantheon, but we don't. We have mostly just like characters from these fairy tale kind of things.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but they're not like Norse mythology or something like that,
Yeah, it's not like polytheist in the sense that it's like, here is Odin, here is Freya. It's like, here's a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of trees.
There's a lot of
sacred
trees.
groves that are like connected to the place. But it's pretty sad because we don't really promo it. I think that would be our good.
So yeah, you're telling me about like the government tearing down sacred groves. So like people know where these are as far as like a sacred grove.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I don't think people know now where they are because they started taking so many forests down that everyone started to get really pissed. And now they've taken down so many of them in these regular places that we're more keeping an eye on what's happening.
Yeah.
And then now we're realizing that, these are actually like supposed to be protected areas, but the government themselves, who is actually supposed to protect them, is taking them down now.
My time at the Shaman Festival in Estonia was invaluable for me to better understand the beliefs as they survive here today. I do not speak Estonian and could not understand much of what was being said, but never once did I feel excluded from what was going on. And I believe that is because the beliefs here are so connected to the natural world, anyone can experience them. The beliefs of Estonia today are not so closely tied to the gods above as they are with the spirits around us and the ancestors below. Many Estonian people who work in shamanic ways choose to study under Siberian shamans as well, because there's so many commonalities between the animistic practices of shamanism and the native beliefs that have come from Estonia and even Finland.
So we have two main groups that are this neo-pagan group called the Believers or the Followers of Tara, and they practice Taraism then. And there's also a group called Mausk, which basically translates into nature believers, or the believers in nature or of nature. And they operate actually from the Estonian House of Tara and native religions. And they have around 200 registered members last time for my thesis. So it is very much an ongoing thing, this nature belief in Estonia. And there was even a survey in 2014 where they asked, the survey was about religion, and then 61, I can look up the numbers for a second so I don't say, yeah. So the poll from 2014 asking about religion, 61.1% of the people answering it considered that Mausk, the nature belief, is the true and original faith of Estonia, and that is what they themselves apply to everyday life.
I don't know the exact dates, and editing Jacob will put them up right here, the exact dates of Soviet occupation of Estonia, but it was very long. And it wasn't until the 90s, I believe, Estonia got independence.
I think 92, yeah.
92, because there was the singing revolution.
Yeah, that was weird. It's still a huge thing here now. We have the song festival, and that is really strong here. We had it this year, actually.
No.
Yeah, it's like a strong national pride thing, because it reminds us that we got free, especially now because of the whole Ukraine war.
Yeah. And as far as like the something you were telling me earlier, and something we just covered it already, but we're doing it again. So as far as like kind of taking it back to history a little bit, like obviously Tallinn is a really historic city, and as far as like like the medieval history here, is that something that is like really focused on as well, or is it again like kind of like
It's I think. I've had to look into things here myself. I didn't really have anything from school about it.
Yeah.
We just talked about the deportation. Then we talked about how we got independent. And then we talked about things outside of Estonia.
Can you talk about the deportation a little bit more?
Sure.
This is one of those dark times in history.
Yes. Prepare to be sad.
I mean, sorry.
No. Yes. No, you basically, to put it really short, very simple, you were not allowed to have the Estonian flag. You were not allowed to have anything that was very Estonian. Otherwise, you got deported to Siberia. And even if you didn't have anything, even if you gave a little bit of a feeling that you maybe are not 100% on board with the government, you got like...
Oh yeah, so you're putting little coins on the stones and like got
yes.
straight to jail.
But it was also sad because a lot of people turned on one another. So someone's neighbor would say like, hey, that person, I don't like them. They're doing some suspicious stuff. You should send them away. And they didn't even look into it and they just got sent.
Yeah.
So it's also sad.
Well, on to the other people that completely changed the history of Estonia, the Christians.
Christians. The Christian people.
Oh, actually, before we do that, I do know that like one of the things I was reading, doing this Estonian research, is it seemed like there was like right after Frederick wrote his work in the 1800s, there was a larger revival of like people actually practicing Taoism on the surface, and there was like a group forming that was pretty sizable.
Oh yes.
But then when the Soviet came, all those people were either put underground, persecuted, or sent away or killed. This really hindered the pagan revival there.
Absolutely, and that is why I think it's so beautiful that they had this survey in 2014, because the Tara believers or the Mausk people, they were absolutely put to death. And they were deported straight away, 100%. That was not acceptable during the Soviet era. So that also, of course, affected the development of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's like the shaman retreat I went to, like, no one would use the terminology. It's like there just happened to be Estonian calling to spirits.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I think that's the majority of people here, actually.
Yeah.
We don't really box ourselves into any certain thing,
Yeah.
because we're not really taught about it, I think that's the main thing.
Yeah. Is that something you think needs to be brought more to the attention of like the common Estonian?
Of course. I think it would make us feel much more like we have a history.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you feel like you don't. We've gotten so many countries that have just like come here, like the Germans and then the Swedes and then the Russians. So you kind of feel like you don't really have anything of your own here, but we do.
Is there anything you want people to know? Like, this is the portal to the rest of the world. What would you like people to know about Estonia?
That we're a very lovely, unknown country, sadly, but that can be changed through this video. Come visit us. I think we're very different from other countries in a way. The vibe here is very different. We have lots of nature. Actually, a lot of people here who come to visit say that the most prized possession is the silence here, the sound of silence when you go to the forest. There's also very little people, so you can go to these cool nature places and literally encounter no one and be very close to nature.
I can confirm, when I was going to the shaman retreat, I mean, you get 5 kilometers outside the city, there's nothing.
Yes.
It's just forest.
Yeah, we have a lot of like empty places.
So everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this video. I've had a lot of interviews for this one, but I wanted to make sure I made one of the best videos on Estonian paganism, belief, and culture there was. So thank you to Aneta and thank you to Elin for joining me. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the great conversation.
and where
Very
can people
exciting
find you?
topics. They can find me mainly on Instagram or on YouTube, where I go under Moose Lady. So if you search Moose Lady on any of these social medias, you are set to find me somewhere.
The video is ending. You need to promote yourself. Tell the people what you do, where they can find you, and how they can support your work.
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, you can follow my art journey of goddesses. Oh, okay, then I'm gonna show you the Hecate. That's my... People really love this one. It's got the dog.
Look at that art. I really hope in this video I've been able to kind of show you why I find this country so interesting, because I guarantee you if I did a poll in the United States of just random everyday people and you say, you know, the country Estonia, most people would be like, is that a country? And you know, it is a small country, but it's a very beautiful one. I mean, Tallinn is absolutely gorgeous. Definitely one of the prettiest cities in Europe that I've seen. The people here are quite lovely. The language is a little weird, but the history is absolutely fascinating. And I think hopefully something that spiritual enthusiasts, pagans, find just as interesting as well. And I hope that I've been able to give you kind of an overview of what it looks like to inspire your own personal practice or explorations into the ancient world. I definitely hope I'll be able to come back, spend more time with the people here, spend more time with people like Annette, and explore this wonderful, small, and amazing country. So thank you very much for joining me for this video, and make sure that you subscribe so you can follow my journeys across Europe, and I will see you in the next adventure.